love to shop for frugal finds, especially at the grocery store, but what I've discovered is it leads to an overstuffed pantry that can really cause a lot of issues when it comes to food waste. So the other day, my pantry had gotten so filled and swelled up that I had to take everything out, reorganize everything, and today's video is all about how I have used all of those leftover pantry ingredients to feed my family healthy homemade meals that are still really easy to prepare on a busy weeknight, but very delicious and some of our very favorites. Not only are these meals full of these pantry ingredients that I'm going to be able to use and not waste, but the best part about these meals is they only took about 15 or 20 minutes of work time in the kitchen. I love an easy meal that goes together quickly and easily, and that also allows me to go through a lot of my surplus in the pantry. That's what this week's video is all about. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to subscribe because there's a lot more of these kinds of videos coming. I've got several weeks worth of meals in this pantry. I've got to work through all of these items so that when I find the next great deal at Aldi or Sam's, I can make sure and put them in my buggy. Let's get started talking about our very first meal, which is one of my favorites. First up, let's talk about my take on street tacos or pork tacos. Whenever I saw this marinated pork loin at Target on clearance, I definitely had to put it in my buggy. I'm always going for the yellow tags in the food section of Target, and I have never been disappointed. This pork loin was really well flavored, and it was really easy. All I did was put the meat in the slow cooker and let it cook for about 4 hours on high. My neighbor had brought me this humongous head of cabbage, so I knew that I needed to use it up. I did not want him to give me such a great gift and then me waste it or allow it to go bad. So you'll see this cabbage reappear several meals. It was so big, we still have some left over. I'm going to chop up some tomatoes that were in the refrigerator and needed to be used up. I also had some cilantro in the fridge that needed to be used up before it had to go in the trash. So all of these items were things that I had bought previously, and I was just trying to find ways to use them up. So these pork tacos worked perfectly. Now, what gave me the idea for the pork tacos to begin with was I had found some whole wheat tortillas at Trader Joe's, and I was really excited to try them. But when I got them out of my bread box, I was very sad to see that they had already molded. So I went ahead and got my keys, headed out the door. I was going to go buy some more tortillas real quick, but then I decided that that was a defeatist attitude. So I came back in, rolled my sleeves up, and just made some homemade tortillas. They turned out great. It took just a little bit of time to make them, and I really was pleased with myself for not giving up whenever I hit a roadblock. This is actually some of my kids' favorite things that I make homemade, and was really glad to hear their excitement whenever I told them my plan. I'm just going to add a little bit of pork, some cabbage, tomatoes, this Havarti cheese that I also found, yellow sticker at Target, and some sour cream. Top it off with cilantro, and these are ready to go. This was such an easy meal to prepare, and it really used up quite a few items, not only in my pantry, but especially in my freezer and fridge that needed to be used up. I was really glad for all of this to come together. I can't remember where I found these thin pizza crusts, but I bought several of them, so it must have been a really good deal. They've been in my pantry for a really long time, so I decided to use them up today. I'm going to use some of the cabbage that my neighbor gave me to make a coleslaw cabbage salad, and also we have fruit cups that people just ignore and act like are not there, so we're going to put those on the plates as well. I'm going to make my own pizza sauce. I just have a small can of tomato sauce. I'm going to spread that around and season it with some Italian seasoning. I think I used basil and oregano, just whatever you have available. I also had some Parmesan cheese that was from a to-go order we had a while back. I needed to use that up, and also I had plenty of mozzarella cheese in the refrigerator. So I'm gonna grate that on top of the pizzas. I wish that I had some sausage or bacon, even some ham, but I hadn't thawed any of that out. So I just went with the cheese pizza. Cheese pizza does not fill up my family. I know that I need to have more protein in our meals, but it's just the way that it worked out. So I hope that you have a little bit of sausage or ham in your freezer that you can pull out if you're gonna make some of these yummy pizzas. Now let's talk about this cabbage salad. I have this favorite salad that I get from Aldi. The only negative thing I could think to say about this salad is that it's $4 a pack. It's too expensive, but I love it so much that I buy it every now and then just because it's one of my favorites. I'm going to try to make my own, chopping up this cabbage, adding some almonds that I found in the pantry from some Chick-fil-A salad orders that we had made in the past, and I'm gonna mix it together with some honey mustard dressing that I found at Aldi. I'm also going to add some raisins just for a little bit more flavor and mix all of this together. Make sure you salt it. It definitely needs plenty of salt. This salad really was good. It's not as good as Aldi's. I still have a little bit of work to do to master that recipe. I'm still trying. I'm not going to give up, but this meal was quick and easy. You cannot get simpler than pre-made pizza crusts and throwing a little bit of cheese on top. So this one probably shouldn't even be considered a recipe, but here it is. So at least you know that you're not the only one that sometimes spends 3 minutes on supper. Okay, I'm not sure if you can get much worse than just a store-bought pizza crust with some cheese on top, but I have to just let you know that we had cornbread for dinner. So you need the backstory to understand why I thought it was okay just to feed my family cornbread and milk for supper. So we went to a wedding. It was a beautiful wedding, some very sweet people. I was very thankful to be there. But we were very tired when we got home, and we had eaten at the reception. It was plenty of food, and I was full on the way home. So I was thinking we didn't need a whole lot when I told my family that we were just going to have cornbread. I did have a little bit of pushback, but I was really excited about it. I love cornbread, and I had found my cornmeal in the pantry when I cleaned out. I do have a little tip about making your own cornmeal from popcorn. I'll leave that video right here so you can check that out whenever you get a chance. But this was store-bought cornmeal that I had bought several months ago, and it needed to be used up. I had just cleaned out my pantry before we went to Trader Joe's, so I got some buttermilk, and I had everything I needed to make cornbread. Now, when we got home, I needed to give Chris and Lane haircuts, so Kendall volunteered to make the cornbread for me. She did really good, and I think her fiance is going to be super excited and happy that she knows how to make a really perfect pan of cornbread. I know there are a million different ways to do cornbread. I like to do half flour, half cornmeal, add a couple of teaspoons of baking powder and salt, and pour in enough buttermilk so it will be the perfect consistency. You can even use regular milk. Make sure you preheat your oil and your pan in the oven at 400 or 425 for a good 15 minutes or so before you pour the batter in, and that will give you the perfect pan of cornbread. During the summer, to me, a perfect meal is cornbread and milk, but if you need a little more substance, you can pair this with a pot of beans. Even some ham or hamburger patties would be perfect to complement this cornbread. You can find the full recipe down in the description box. I would love to know your family recipe for cornbread as well. I know a lot of people like to sneak a little bit of sugar in their batter. I prefer mine without sugar, but I love to top it with maple syrup. I'm sure y'all already know this about me, but one of my favorite things to buy at Costco is a rotisserie chicken, and this is why. Whenever I get home, after I've bought a rotisserie chicken or two from Costco, I will try to put at least one of them in the freezer for a meal just like this. I had several of these ingredients that needed to be used up, and it was a perfect opportunity for me to pull some rotisserie chicken out of the freezer. All I had to do was heat it up in my skillet. You can thaw it really quickly in a skillet with a little bit of water. So after I thawed the chicken, I added plenty of spices, some cumin, chili powder, garlic powder, and salt. And I just heated all of that together on the stovetop. While the chicken was heating, I shredded up a little bit of cheese. I had these tortilla chips in the pantry, and also this salsa had been in there for quite a while, needed to be used up, and this was the perfect opportunity. I'm just going to serve this in a bowl. I put my chips on the bottom, the chicken on top of the chips, add a good helping of cheese. We had some shredded lettuce, so I'm gonna add that on top. Put plenty of sour cream and plenty of this salsa as well. This was such an easy meal. We had this on a Sunday afternoon, and even though nothing was prepared ahead of time, I had been thawing the chicken while we were gone. When we got home, lunch was ready in less than 20 minutes. This is a perfect last-minute meal idea for those super busy summer nights. Now, before we talk about this last meal, I need to tell y'all that I really do love y'all, and I appreciate y'all sticking around, even if I sound like a broken record. But barbecue baked potatoes just happens to be one of my favorite meals and one of my family's favorite meals. So when we have things that need to be used up, we usually gravitate toward some of our favorites. I had found these chicken thighs on sale at Aldi and had bought a ton of them and put them in the freezer. I had this barbecue sauce in the pantry that needed to be used up. Also, this was the perfect opportunity for the salsa that needed to be used. So here we are again making barbecue baked potatoes. I like to bake my baked potatoes in the crock pot, but I was already using my crock pot for the chicken. So I'm just going to bake them in the oven. I put them at 300 degrees because we were going to be gone the afternoon. And I wanted them to be nice and done, but not too done by the time we got home. I like to put plenty of oil and salt on mine when I'm cooking them in the oven. It just makes it a little bit more enjoyable to eat the skin, which I really love to do. Not only is this an easy dinner, but it also is so economical. These chicken thighs were, I think, 99 cents a pound. Then I had the baked potatoes, which were about 50 cents a pound, maybe even less. And all of the other ingredients were ingredients that I had on hand that needed to be used up. So this is a really great low budget meal that also doubles as a family favorite. I would love to hear your favorite pantry clean out meal because this has got to be one of mine. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please be sure and give this video a quick thumbs up if this is your kind of content. I would love to have that feedback. Also, if you haven't subscribed, I hope that you will do that. I would love to have you as the newest member of the Homemade Simple community. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you again next time.